take us inside, because I know we really asked you this, because you've done so much media over the last few months. You've done interviews with every website, it seems like.
Trying to get the word of RVD TV out.
Every time I go to the Observer, there's a recap of an interview with somebody, but I haven't seen this question asked, so I'm going to ask it.
All right.
Take us into the night and the nights after of the arrest with you and Sabu. Getting pulled over, having the whole suspension, dropping both titles. What was your mindset going into the being pulled over, and then from then on, did you think right away, I'm screwed, I'm gonna lose both titles, oh my God, what are they gonna do to me? Or what was your mindset going into that whole week?
Well, I find on a day-to-day schedule, I make a practice of being zenful and keeping inner peace, and part of that is to not get overwhelmed, not let things bother you, because when you're bothered, you're actually the victim. Whether you're holding resentment for something or bad feelings, bad thoughts cause you to vibrate at a bad frequency, bad speed. You put that out into the universe, it attracts likeness to you. So I try to remain positive, and this was no different. When Sabu and I got pulled over, the car reeked because I had some stinky green in the center console.
Yeah.
A lot of what you read, is going to say that we were in the act of smoking and driving and all that, and that's to be corrected right now. It was purely for possession. It was no big deal to me, honestly. It wasn't nearly my first bust either. So so I thought no big deal, and Sabu, he was a little worried about it, after we drove off, after the big ordeal of following this a-hole cop, and I say a-hole not because he busted me, but because he's one of those guys that he must have said 15 times, and I'm sorry guys, I feel like I should know who you are, I'm sorry I don't follow wrestling. It's like, dude, fuck off, we know you're not a fan, or else we wouldn't be having these cuffs sitting in the back of your car, Actually, I don't think I sat in the back of his car, but we followed him. But anyway, that's always annoying. But to hear that over and over from the cop, like, guys, I'm so, I feel like I should know you. And he kept trying to joke around and shit, but really, the guy was a dick. He was just a guy that, not because he was doing his job, but he's a guy that I wouldn't be hanging out with in public. He just didn't vibrate at the same frequency as me. Anyway, I had no problems with him, and no big deal. It's like, okay, whatever, race the ticket. Driving off, heading towards Philadelphia, and Sabu's a little concerned. I'm like, relax, Sabu, relax, man, no big deal. They're not even going to find out about it, And the next morning, as we're pulling in towards the arena, my phone starts ringing, and then I knew it was all over the internet, all over the newspapers, and I was surprised, that got out like that. And I didn't realize the big difference between other times that I've been busted, and although I have been busted a few times, the important thing to remember is I learned my lesson every single time. Thank you very much. And the thing that was different was I had both world championships this time, so now the spotlight, was on me, and that made a big difference. We got to the building, we had to go talk to John Laurinaitis, and had to figure out how we were going to talk to Vince. In the first part of the day, there was a little bit of stress coming from them, because they had to make some changes and stuff, and until they had another idea, they were a little bit concerned. Once they had an idea and said, okay, here's what we're going to do, we talked about it like adults, like grown-ups, and there was never any disrespect that I picked up from Vince, from Johnny, from anybody coming towards me, and I was just like, hey, all right, dude, and Vince said, well, that's what we're going to do, you're going to take 30 days off, blah, 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 and he said, be careful when you come back, please be careful. All right, sorry about that, dude. It was actually, not that big of a deal. Then it got all over every television, every radio, every newspaper, it was like the biggest news, and you'll hear a lot of people apologize for me, I've been standing next to somebody who's introducing me to get up on a microphone, say, hey, Rob, made some mistakes recently, he's sorry for that, but the thing is, he's coming back, and now he's here, and first thing I want to do when I grab that microphone is say, did you just apologize for me? Because I am not sorry that I did that, I won't apologize. Where most people will say that couldn't have happened at a worser time, I say it couldn't have happened at a better time. If I wasn't the WWE champion and the ECW champion at the same time, nobody would have given a fuck. just like other times I've been busted.
Sure.
And I would have paid a fine, whatever. But because this happened and because it was all over the media, it helped educate people on an issue that's very important to me. Okay, because marijuana has been demonized to the point of where people cannot associate marijuana with a successful person. That's the government's brainwashing. When you're a kid, you're taught, just say no, it's for losers. The federal government has marijuana listed as a class 1 controlled substance along with heroin and acid. You don't know that. Most people don't know that. We get taught it in school, but still we don't know it. That's because they distract you with other things, okay?
Right.
Now, in 1988, the DEA's own administrative law judge made a ruling, and they said, you should move marijuana from a class 1 to a class 2 because it has medicinal value. And they thought about it, and they ignored the ruling. They said, I think that would send the wrong message to kids. What the fuck is that about? Telling the kids the truth is the wrong message. You'd rather keep the scare tactic and lie to them. So now, why today marijuana is a class 1 controlled substance with heroin and acid with no medicinal value whatsoever, class 2 with more medicinal value is cocaine, meth, and you tell me if that's not fucked up. But that is the DEA's position on marijuana. Why?
Wow.
Because they don't want to legalize it, because all that they stand to lose from a weed that grows out in the public that 0 people have overdosed from in the history of the planet. We've had an overdose of water in the last year. You heard about that? There was a radio contest. This girl overdosed on water. In the history of the planet, there's not ever been one overdose of marijuana. Guess what? You probably don't know that. They probably don't know that. That's fascinating. And you also can't find one case in any medical journal of anyone that's had lung cancer, throat cancer, tongue cancer, lip cancer. Come on. Not one case? That's incredible. So do we tell people that? No. Instead, we make them think that smoking pot is going to kill them. When in fact, cigarettes kill 1 in 5 Americans. Not 1 in 5 smokers. 1 in 5 Americans, over 450,000 Americans a year die, is a direct result from tobacco smoke. I watch Celebrity Rehab and they're smoking cigarettes on there. I'm like, come on, nicotine is one of the most addictive drugs we've ever fucking known. How can that be okay? But it's
That's
not.
what I'm saying. I see people go to NA and AA meetings, and they're not drinking anymore, they're not doing drugs anymore, and they're smoking cigarettes. I'm going
Because the government makes money off of cigarettes and alcohol.
Exactly.
Big business. And honestly, anybody that does the research will find out that is 100% the agenda behind the prohibition of marijuana. In 1937, they outlawed marijuana because they said it causes violence, promiscuity, and if you smoke enough, you'll go insane. All bullshit, but they've never gone back and said, oh, by the way, that's bullshit. No, instead, they protect their lies, and the government stays behind their position. Says, yeah, let's just keep it outlawed. And people ask me, do you ever really think that we'll see it legal? What they don't know is that we have 12 states that have legalized it right now today. California in 1996 with Proposition 215 legalized cannabis with a doctor's referral. We now have 12 states. There's like another 3 that are under consideration. Out of 50 states, that's fucking major.
Yeah,
it really is.
15 states is major, yeah.
Now we got to get the federal government to acknowledge and respect state rights, because they can override state laws. So while the state of California says it's perfectly legal to go into a marijuana dispensary with a doctor's recommendation and get your medicine, a DEA from Washington can still come in and say, oh, we don't acknowledge that state rule. We got our own rules, because we like to keep it as a class 1 controlled substance with no medicinal value. Most people know that it does have some medicinal value, but they don't care enough to go and make a change in the laws. They don't care that we spend almost $1 million a year arresting marijuana patients like they're bad people, like they're criminals, like they're killers or whatever. They don't care about it. They know, I think it has medicine, but maybe it's only like if you're dying of AIDS, No, a lot of people can benefit from it. And here in California, it has the most lax qualifications, and then it varies. You go to Rhode Island, you do have to be a lot more serious to get it, but that's the move in progress. So back to what brought all this up, when Rob Van Dam, a two-time, two championship belt holding motherfucker on top of the world, the representative of pro wrestling, is associated with marijuana smoking, I say 2 thumbs up, kids. I don't think kids should do it, and I want kids to know that. I want the chance to explain what I do know and what I do feel. And as far as any athlete or any celebrity, you know, like when Jay Leno every night, when he talks and jokes to Kevin, his guitar player, about
Kevin
marijuana,
Eubanks, yep.
that all changes the climate. It changes the perception of this demonized drug, this dangerous hallucinogenic. It helps people say, oh, it's not that bad, and eventually kids that grow up watching that, kids that grow up reading that Rob Van Dam had possession of marijuana when he's the most graceful wrestler they've ever seen, pulling off backflips, walking the ropes. So they're going to grow up and they're going to be in the office someday, and then they're going to be able to make important decisions. So I will not apologize for that moment. I'm glad that it happened, and God, with enough time, we just might see it happen again.
There you go. In the first interview we did with you, you mentioned your laments about them dropping the Hardcore title, and then you reunited it with the Intercontinental and the European Championships all under you, rolled into one title.
Which all led to me having more world championships than any other WWE world champion, by the way.
There you go. Exactly.
Because a lot of those belts, or some of them have been retired, people can't go after them. That's a fact. I've had more belts than any other WWE world champion.
There you go. What was your favorite match for the Hardcore title when you were in WWF, WWE?
Oh, geez. Well, I definitely enjoyed the one where I won the title from Jeff Hardy at Invasion. That stands out as great. And plus, I was just reeking of ECW. I was like fresh in, you know, still my old self didn't have to adapt yet.
You even wore the tights you wore at the last pay-per-view for ECW.
Yes, I did.
The stripe of the tiger, or what is it, tiger?
The tiger stripe.
That's
a very popular favorite among the fans. You know,
that's a great action figure too. We got that figure signed by you somewhere.
Yeah, they've actually made a couple of that, a newer one and an older one. But anyway, let's see. Can I remember the question without asking them if I stall enough?
What's your favorite Hardcore match?
I'll tell you. Another match that comes out that really sticks out is one that I've never gone back and seen, and I think I heard it's on YouTube or something, and I mean to watch it sometime. But it was RVD versus Tommy Dreamer.
Oh, to
I think
unify the Intercontinental and the Hardcore.
If that's what it was, I couldn't remember if it was the Intercontinental or the European.
Well, because when you were Intercontinental Champion, you beat Jeff Hardy first to unify the European with that, and then it was the Intercontinental versus the Hardcore, and it was Tommy.
Kick-ass match, and I just remember. I remember the way it went down, and I've never really gone back and seen that. But
it's on YouTube.
That's one match. Yeah, I'm sure, and that's one match that I really wanted to get on my DVD, one of a kind. That it just didn't make the cut.
Right? Yeah, it should have. There were some really good matches on there, though.
Let me ask you this though, because you seem to know about the belts. Did I ever have the? What's the one on SmackDown they have that's like...
the U.S. title?
Yeah, did I ever have that one?
No.
Okay. I didn't think I did. Someone in New Zealand convinced me recently that I had it and retired it. Okay, well there you go. Straight from Jeff Meacham's mouth.
The trivia buff himself. Now, what you had, when you were the Intercontinental Champion, technically the U.S. title had already been integrated into the Intercontinental belt because of the Survivor Series 2001 match between Edge and Test.
So there is some room for some kind of little gray area.
Yeah, you know, you could be the co-champion. You could have been, you know. You can see it as that.
When adding up all the belts that I've had, that came into question.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Well, you can see it both ways. So that makes sense. It makes sense. So you say you watch wrestling. Have you watched any TNA in the last 5 years that they've been around? Have you watched much of TNA at all?
I've probably seen maybe 2 episodes.
2 episodes? Okay. What do you think of them now signing all the WWE superstars and trying to latch off WWE success? Because honestly, for me, when TNA first came around, they were the alternative to WWE. And now you see guys like Kurt Angle, Booker T, Christian, Tomko, Scott Steiner, all those guys, you know, Kevin Nash, all those guys that were in WCW and WWE, now they're part of TNA, and you got guys like your buddy Samoa Joe who are still and not been world champion there yet, and you go, why? Why is Kurt Angle the world champion? Why is not Samoa Joe? You know, one of the questions was, do you think Samoa Joe will get a run with the TNA title in the near future? You know,
I think that for TNA, that's good business. You know, I mean, basically, as I said before, Vince owns wrestling because he has WWE, the trendsetter, the global fucking franchise. I mean, it's McDonald's, it's Coca-Cola. It really is. You know, it's
Right.
WWE. You go to Indonesia and hey, you know WWE? Oh yeah, I have right here. You know, I mean, TNA's not that. They're not. TNA's way down here, WWE's way up here. People ask me all the time about, why don't you go to TNA? You could have better matches, you can be with this guy. And obviously I don't have that passion, that desire, that self-challenging factor in me saying, oh, I think I can go 35 minutes with that guy and give him his best match. It's not about that for me. And it's been a long time since it's been about that. It's been all business for years and years for me, and unfortunately it's business hard to do without the love and passion. But I've always said that it's good for business to have competition, so I hope that TNA does continue to grow. I hope that some of these other groups, maybe some that aren't even here, I hope that they just appear, and I hope that somebody steps it up and gives Vince some competition for an alternative product, an alternative source, to turn to watch something different besides being forced to eat whatever Vince is spoon feeding you if you want to watch wrestling, So for TNA to try to come up, I think it's important they have to get recognizable stars in there, which does mean former WWE stars. You mentioned that they were, I'm not sure what words you used, but you said there was WWE and you said it before.
The alternative.
They were the alternative, but if the alternative to WWE really means we've got these smaller, non-exposed guys that none of you guys have ever heard of, and we're trying to compare with WWE with these worldwide mega superstars, well then TNA is just going to lose out, and that's just the way it is. So even if Samoa Joe was the king of all the wrestlers that hadn't been exposed yet, that's still what you got, And honestly, when I watch it and when I turn it on, I don't know who 90% of the wrestlers are.
Yeah, it's hard to follow.
And I imagine that most fans that don't tune in every week are going to feel that way too,
Right.
I mean, I've heard some fan reaction like Booker T was, like this top star, he's wrestling Batista and he's wrestling Stone Cold. Now they got him wrestling some guy I never even heard of, and it's like, okay, I mean, I understand that, but for Booker and him carrying on business, that's what you do, what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, you rule out the first one, that's not there anymore, so now what do you got? Now you go to TNA where you continue on your career, and whoever these guys are that he's working with, maybe he can build them up, maybe the whole group TNA will come up, and maybe all these stars that nobody knows who they are, maybe someday they will be big enough stars to give WWE some competition. I doubt it, because I know that Vince is the king of promotion, and I don't think he's willing to sidestep that position, but it's important for TNA, even if you want to build all the other tomorrow's stars, you got to have some of today's stars in there to draw attention to it,
All right. Any last minute plugs you want to get in before we stop?
Trying to get everyone to know about RVD TV. This is at robvandam.com. It's directed and produced by RVD. This is completely my show. Nobody tells me what to write. It's everything that I want to share with you. This follows my time after I left WWE. I'm at home, I'm in California, I'm in Venice Beach, I'm in Hollywood, I'm in my gym working out, I'm showing off on my diving board, and I'm interacting with a lot of my friends who happen to be celebrities. You'll see Justin McCauley, Chris Masters, Samoa Joe. You'll see UFC fighters like Tito Ortiz, Kendall Groves. You'll see actors like Jay Moore, Andrew Bernarski. I have friends that are in the music industry like Sindog from Cypress Hill and Taboo from Black Eyed Peas, and I have a huge list of my friends that I haven't gotten to yet that I'm going to be that have already committed, to shooting future episodes of RVD TV. And what this is about for me is showing the other side, the real RVD, because the guy you see at RVD TV is as genuine as it gets. I don't lie. I'm proud of that. I have no reason to. I shoot from the heart, and I get my other friends, and we approach a conversation or a subject where you get to meet the real person there too. Justin McCauley, myself, and Chris Masters were talking about gun control. Chris says, I don't know what the laws are. It doesn't matter who does know. What do we think about it? What do you think about abortion? What do you think about God? What do you think about the Bible? You know, what do you think about violence and entertainment? What do you think about wrestlers dying young? These are all subjects that I approach with my other friends. It's called Friends in High Places, a reoccurring episode of RVD TV. You like that, Friends in High Places?
Very good, yes.
You can see RVD TV at robvandam.com, the official website of the whole fucking show, Rob Van Dam. Check it out, subscribe, let me know how you love it.
We'll see you next time on Talk Wrestling.
Sweet.